Living with social anxiety can make you feel like you're in a play where everyone else has got a script except you. Like everyone seems natural and super relaxed, and you're there hyper self-aware of what your hands are doing, what your face is doing, how you're coming across. It's exhausting, but you are not a socially anxious person. You're a person who's currently experiencing some social anxiety, and that difference matters. Most social anxiety runs across 3 stages. We've got the anticipation before, the performance during, and the rumination after. And in this video, I'm going to share exactly what helps within each of those stages. Stage 1 is the anticipation. So this is the build-up, the hours, sometimes days before an event, rehearsing conversations in your head, really wanting to cancel. Anticipatory anxiety is the fear of fear. You're not really afraid of the party, you're afraid of blushing at the party, freezing or running out of things to say. Tip 1 for this is to shrink the time horizon. Instead of living in the future, which is where all anxiety lives, try to narrow it down. Ask yourself, what do I actually need to do right now? Do the basic preparation, pick out clothes, get your transport sorted, maybe think of 1 or 2 things that you say and leave it there. Overthinking before an event feels like the thing you need to do, but it always makes anxiety worse. Tip 2 is to add before and after anchors. So don't let the one social event take over your entire day. Try to bookend it with other things that you enjoy. For example, you could go a quick walk beforehand and then afterwards plan to watch one of your favourite shows. Now the event that's creating all the anxiety becomes just one part of your day. It's not the one thing that your mind's revolving around. Stage 2 is the performance. This is where the hyper self-awareness kicks in. You start monitoring everything, your voice, how they're standing, their reaction, and the more attention you put on yourself, the more intense the anxiety feels. Social anxiety is basically attention turned inwards. You're not really afraid of the people, you're afraid of how you exist in their mind. Tip 1 here is to move your attention outwards, the tone of the person's voice, their stories, the room around you, and when your attention shifts outwards, it gives your mind less space to focus on yourself. It won't eliminate the nerves completely, but it will help. Tip 2 here is to stop trying to fix it. If your mind goes blank, that's okay. You can just say, sorry, my mind's gone blank. If your voice is shaky, keep talking. The goal isn't to have perfect communication skills. The goal is staying in these situations instead of escaping them. And each time you stay, your brain, your amygdala, will learn that these situations aren't dangerous. And stage 3 is the rumination. And this is a stage that keeps a lot of anxiety going. This is replaying the interaction, analysing what you said, thinking about how you sounded, convincing yourself that you completely embarrassed yourself. And this stage is really important to have an awareness of, because the story that you tell yourself after an event determines whether you'll show up to it again next time. Tip 1 here is to separate the facts from the stories. Ask yourself what actually happened versus what are you assuming happened. For example, the fact could be that you paused for a few seconds, and the story that you told yourself is that everyone thinks you're awkward. Facts are usually neutral, and the stories we add usually make us feel shit. I used to tell myself stupid stories afterwards while I was ruminating, and just having the awareness of it really helped. Tip 2 is to reward your courage, not the performance. If you went, that's a win. If you spoke up, that's a win. If you stayed longer than you wanted to, that's a win. What gets rewarded gets repeated, and if every social interaction ends with you criticising yourself, your brain sort of learns that this isn't worth doing. But when you acknowledge the courage it takes to show up, your momentum and motivation will start building. And as a bonus stage, avoidance. Sometimes the anticipatory anxiety beforehand wins and you never end up going to the event. Avoidance feels good in the moment. I used to do it all the time, but it quietly strengthens the belief that I can't handle this. And the longer that belief sticks around, the more convincing it feels. So tip 1 here is to build an exposure ladder. So what could that look like? For example, someone who has anxiety around going to the gym, their ladder could look like this. First, they could walk into the gym and leave. Another day, they could get changed and sit in the changing room. Then they could stay for a full session, maybe on a quiet day. And finally, they would do a full workout on a day where it's busy. And small exposures like that build tolerance. Tip 2 for avoidance is to make social anxiety a side quest. One of the biggest mistakes people make in anxiety recovery is turning it into the main focus of their life. Every day becomes about fixing it. Instead, we want to focus on what we're moving towards, right? What are we going after? What would the non-anxious version of you be doing? And when you start moving towards that stuff, anxiety stops being at the centre of everything. At the end of the day, some amount of anxiety is normal, right? The goal, like I've said countless times, isn't to get rid of it completely. Real recovery sort of looks like this. The symptoms still show up, but they no longer control your decisions in life. You can feel the fear and go to the vent or speak to the person anyway. And that's when life starts opening up again.